exhausted. This passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it. Nah, you cannot stop it. Quitting was never an option. And you cannot stop it. Nah, you cannot stop it.
Hey everyone, it's Billy Carson, aka Forbidden Knowledge. I'm here with David Mirsky, the CEO of Sibannac. We have an amazing conversation today. It's going to be one for the ages. We're going to dive deep into all different types of topics dealing from business to psychedelics and ancient civilizations. How you doing, David?
Really great. It's
Good,
great
man.
to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm glad you made it down here, man. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For the people who don't know who you are, let's, of course, give them a little bit of a background, who you are, where you came from, and why you're here.
Yeah. I'm a lawyer by trade, and I come to this space completely, from the unknown, like completely unanticipated. So it's interesting how life sets you on a path.
Yeah.
But I've been on this consciousness path now for a while, and I'm excited to develop this and consciousness exploration as I have been on my own psychedelic journey and plant medicines and learning how to explore consciousness and the alien phenomenon.
Wow.
And so it's just been a wild trip.
Wow, amazing. What's so great to see is that for me, this last decade, the amount of people that are now opening up to alternative information, opening up to alternative realities, looking into ancient healing modalities, and not afraid to talk about things like ancient civilizations being high tech, psychedelics, and aliens.
Right.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting space to be in. And I feel like I've just been called, to get onto this path.
Yeah.
And it's been just great as a learning experience. So the company I've taken directly into the consciousness arena. So we've gone from plant medicine products, which we're still developing, and now we're really focusing on our Starwalker Cafe, which is a learning platform with William Henry, who I know you know from Ancient Aliens.
Amazing. I love William Henry. Great human being.
Great human being.
Yeah.
It's been so great to have this relationship with him and learn. And I know you do Egypt, and he does all these tours. So I can't wait. I haven't been to Egypt, so I'm really looking to go.
Nice.
Hopefully, like in the fall. And it's because I've had these Egyptian experiences in my own plant medicine journeys.
Wow.
So the question is really interesting as to why do people continually have Egypt come up in these experiences, and what role does Egypt play? So interesting, and I want to talk to you about a couple of those. So so we're doing that, and then we're starting to develop tours, and that's something that I know we have a new agreement in place that we're looking to explore, which is wonderful. I'm really excited to have this business relationship with you, and looking forward to see it blossom on behalf of Sibannac, and let's see where that goes. It's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, matter of fact, Sibannac is a publicly traded company, right? So they're on OTC. And the symbol is SNNC.
That's it.
And I'm a shareholder myself.
Yep.
All right. So it's really exciting. I think that the company is doing a lot of great things in consciousness and really engulfing themselves in this community in a great way. And I'm looking forward to seeing everything that Sibannac has to offer in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really looking forward to, we're really a first mover in this space. As a small public company, we're willing to take on risk that some larger companies aren't even looking at right now, or people in the travel industry. The wellness tourism space is exploding. I mean, estimated to be up to $2 trillion, within the next 5 to 10 years or less. And plant medicine journeys are going to comprise a significant segment of that. So the Starwalker Cafe, where we're signing on members right now, is tapping into the core aliens audience from the show.
Yeah.
And we've identified about 5 million fans that are direct fans, and these are fans of the show and you. There's a lot of crossover there. And we estimate that maybe up to 20% of these people are interested in taking plant medicine journeys, having these type of experiences. So that's something that we can extend and get into. And really, there's no other company that's looking to do that at this point. So I think by the time that these start to come on and gain more popularity, we're already going to have a strong foothold. And I think the company is really excited to tap into your unbelievable platform and following and the reputation that you have in the space to be able to put this opportunity in front of people, to be able to take them to places all over the world, give them 5-star experiences. And, we're looking at Costa Rica now. We're looking at Mexico, where the plant medicine laws are lenient, and so where we can offer these experiences legally, very safely, but to the premium traveler.
Yeah, of course. Glamping.
It's the
we want to go glamping,
right?
But it's a real great experience. I mean, the tours, of course, that I do myself. They're always 5-star. It's the only way to do them because you can do them on the cheap. I remember when I first started touring for myself just to get knowledge over 30 years ago.
Right.
On the cheap, right? And I think I first went to Mexico with $500 US.
Wow.
That's all I had, like literally for the whole time I was there. But I knew I had to go somewhere close, inexpensive, and still be able to see something ancient, right? But it was, looking back, it was like, you rough it out, obviously. But, this day and age, I mean, it's really about bringing someone to the full experience, giving them the luxury and the feeling of safety and security and cleanliness, along with great food that won't make you sick, and, of course, the full modality treatment and the knowledge.
Yeah, so, based on your reputation, William's reputation for all these years, it's a great foundation to be able to extend that to plant medicine, because obviously it's a little bit of a risk or a little bit of a leap, and people are understandably curious, but kind of standoffish, maybe a little skeptical about the safety, especially those that haven't experienced that before. So to be able to say, look, you're in really good hands, the reputations of the people that you've already traveled with, and so this is like, you should have total confidence that these experiences can be offered in a totally safe and unbelievable way. And our goal really is to have the experience where when you leave, this is something that you look back on and will tell people is probably, maybe the best experience you've ever had, something that was really life-changing. Yeah,
absolutely. That's what it's all about. And when you formed Sibannac, or when you got involved with Sibannac, like, what was the reason or the purpose behind saying, let's take this public?
So I, as an attorney, I got into the turnaround game, taking microcap public companies that were out of operations or whose business plans weren't really working, that needed new management, that were looking for a turnaround. So I successfully exited one already. Sibannac, which, by the way, is cannabis in reverse. It's a strange name. People never know how to say it, so I'm sure people are going to be curious about that. The reason I stayed with Sibannac to take this new second part of the journey is because the company's so healthy. Usually when you come into these OTC companies, they've had a bad history a lot of times. There's so many shares that were issued, a lot of dilution to people that kind of know the market. But unlike that, I came upon it from people local to me in Arizona who said, look, they were basically in the cannabis space doing advertising, and they decided that, that just wasn't the model that they wanted to pursue. And based on my first turnaround, they said, why don't you come in, take it over, and get all the financials, a lot of work that had to be done. And it's been a long journey. I mean, it's taken a number of years, there's no doubt. But the good part about that is we're finally on the right path to something that has just a real potential and great future, great potential in projected earnings and revenue generation. And the best part is that it's a really a healthy company. So it provides a great foundation to be able to take this next step.
Wow, incredible, yeah. I know we had kind of been in talks a little bit as well about, looking at forbidden knowledge. Obviously, we're looking to take forbidden knowledge public, so there might be some opportunity there as well.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. And so I think the goal really is to we can go in a number of different directions, but I think Forbidden Knowledge will ultimately be on its own, which kind of like we refer to in the industry as a spin-off. And so you're a shareholder now, which is great, which we appreciate the confidence. And obviously we've got potential business here that we're going to start getting into. And then that obviously will be great, hopefully, for the Sibannac stock and for the company as we demonstrate, this new model that we get into together. And then that will set the framework for the spinoff where we can then put the deal together, do all the legal work, which obviously takes time. But as we're doing this business, the public will get to see what we're doing. And by the time we get Forbidden Knowledge set up and ready to go, everybody will really know what's going on. They'll have the lay of the land. And so you kind of get a head start, which I think will be great for the company. It'll be great, for Sibannac being able to participate in putting that deal together. And so really looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just been great. And thank you for that great press release that you put out about the partnership between Sibannac and Forbidden Knowledge about a week ago. We'll make sure we drop the link to that press release in the caption of this video and audio.
Great.
Yeah, definitely. And, this is a great topic to talk about because I know that in a lot of ways, psychedelics put a lot of question marks in people's heads. I remember even when I first heard about psychedelics, I was like, what is this? And I was a little standoffish in the very beginning. And more recently, probably now maybe a month and a half ago, I went to 40 Years of Zen, Dave Asprey's 40 Years of Zen. Dave Asprey is the man who coined the phrase biohacking. And I heard about the 40 Years of Zen at his biohacking conference about a year ago. And I read about it. I read on all the information about what happens when you go to this place. And it really was 40 Years of Zen in this brochure. I was like, this is like 40 years of working on yourself in 1 week. So I went, and I had the most amazing experience. It was a ketamine psychedelic experience, along with 4 to 5 hours per day of intense meditation, pre-thought meditation based on doing shadow work and trauma release work as well. And then sitting with the counselor afterwards and going over your entire day of your meditation mission, basically, and analyzing it, breaking it down, and utilizing these techniques on how to really dissect, did you get to gratitude, did you get to love, did you get to forgiveness, and all these incredible things to really do a lot of shadow work. So in a week, I did 40 years of Zen work on myself, which was absolutely mind-blowing. And I'll admit, 5 years ago, I would have never agreed to doing anything like that. But after having that experience, now I see the value in it. I see how it changed my life. I see how it gave me an energy and frequency shift and put me in a whole new light of understanding. And my brain is still in neurogenesis right now for the next 6 months, which is pretty powerful stuff. So I see the benefit now in this, where if somebody's utilizing it in the right way and then integrating it, it could be extremely beneficial versus, of course, some people may just want to abuse it, but that's not the way to do things.
Yeah, I mean, people really need to understand these experiences are not recreational.
No.
They're for people that are looking to improve themselves, that are looking to take on the hard work, the shadow work, as you've just said. And what these elixirs do is offer people a perspective to be able to look at life, look at their experiences, look at pain and past traumas, and give them the ability to sort of step outside and look at it from a neutral perspective, and without the judgment, without the shame, and all of these negative emotions that we as humans really embody in everyday life in this 3D reality that we walk around in. And so it's amazing when you are able to confront these things and look at them and be able to say, I can make a new decision now. And it seems so easy when you have the benefit of the tools that they give you to be able to make changes. And that's what they do. People, I think it was Michael Pollan who was recently was talking about it, saying that like psychedelics kind of lay new snow, like sort of in the brain where they allow you to be able to just kind of ski new paths, if you will, without going into the same old grooves that we hone, just getting to this in everyday life and kind of getting into the rut and some of these old problems. So, but the reality is that it's people that are doing the work for themselves. It's not like magic. It's that if you're willing to go do the work, then these elixirs, these plant medicines will give you the ability to do that. But I always say, like you did great work, but it's not the medicine that did it. It allowed you, to make the choices, but you deserve all the credit for all the good that came out of that. So people should be proud. You should be proud of the work that you did, because it takes a lot of courage to go into these experiences. Again, like I'm not an anxious person, but I get anxiety sometimes too. It's very natural because when you enter these states of consciousness, it's very disturbing. It's completely different vibration. And so, that's why when we set up these experiences, we make sure that they're really properly guided, expertly, so that people can really get the best out of the experience and make permanent changes.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you're dedicated to the work, to doing the work, when you're in these heightened states of consciousness is where you can get into the work. Like you say, your walls drop where before you might have been, fighting against, your ego's fighting against really breaking through the wall to get to the deeper root of the problem or whatever. But once you get on these, it allows that to drop, and then you can actually ask questions. You're like, I say, show me what gratitude really looks like. Show me what love really looks and feels like in that state, and then it comes to you. And you really begin to understand what gratitude and love really actually is. Show me where I can, show me somebody. You think about somebody who did something wrong to you, right? And you show me, how can I reach a level of empathy for this person? And it will just somehow, in some weird kind of way you can't explain in words, give you that information or that knowledge, or allow you to perceive what it is within yourself. It's really a journey to inner space.
Yeah.
Because the whole time when I was on the psychedelic, I didn't know where my hands were. I didn't know where my body was, right? And I felt like I was going through dimensions and rooms and everything else with these elaborate motifs and designs, and everything was just moving and shifting. And I'm doing the work at the same time. It was just a really incredible experience. And then when I came out of it, it really opened my eyes up to a lot of things. It really gave me a lot of confirmation to a lot of the stuff that I speak on and talk about spiritually, metaphysically. It really connected a lot of dots, and it let me know I was already on the right path in terms of lecturing and speaking about it, but now I've also experienced it, and now I know for a fact it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, people don't realize when you're in these altered states and higher states of consciousness, you feel like you're the same person, like you don't lose the sense of self.
Yeah.
It is surprising when you're kind of there that you have your full sense of faculties about you, but you realize that you're not attached to a body.
Yeah.
And I think it starts with the understanding that at the heart of things, we are soul beings, and we're having this physical experience, and it's a wonderful experience. So, I think the main lessons to take of it are that it's all about what you can bring from the experience back to your everyday life. It's about the integration and how we can improve life. There's nothing about escapism or trying to go there. Again, nothing recreational about it. It's kind of going somewhere to take lessons, learn lessons, and then bring them back and then integrate so we can improve ourselves, improve our lives, improve our work, and our relationships with our families and everyone around us. You mentioned love. I think if I had to sum up if there's one word that this is all about, the psychedelic experience, and even greater than that, just what is the purpose of life? It is love.
Yeah.
It sounds corny, right, and very cliche, but when you have that realization that love is really the only thing that's real.
Yep.
It is the only thing that actually is real. Yeah. And when you feel that, I mean, just the sense of bliss that the psychedelic experience can give you it's something that you'll never forget, and you take that back. And the goal is to be able to walk around, as sometimes I say, when you're at the DMV or you're at the market in aisle 9, if you can have an understanding that, man, you're this soul being and you're on this wonderful, marvelous journey.
Yep.
And just to be able to integrate that, you mentioned before, I think about, we were talking about anger or something. My first experience was anger and empathy. And I was, that was really what motivated me to get into my first ayahuasca experience, which was really life-changing. And ayahuasca comes from the Amazon. People have been taking this magic elixir for at least 5,000 years. And I was able to come face to face with people that I had really developed an anger for.
Yeah.
A real hatred. And I didn't realize the weight that had on me and what I was carrying, and really how much that hurt me.
Yeah.
And what the experience gave me was an ability to see these people that I really felt were targeting me. And I saw them as human beings, which is what they are. And rather than, devolve into the normal defenses that our ego really leads us to, I was able to look at them and have empathy, and empathy for the pain that they were going through that was causing them to cause me pain. Like the old saying, hurt people. And that was such a magical experience to be able to feel this kind of empathy for people, even when they didn't mean you any good.
Yeah.
And but coming out of that, it was such a weight that was lifted from me, and I've never forgotten that. And that's really what started me on this path.
Wow, that's huge, man. That's so powerful what you just said. It's so powerful because I had a similar experience just recently, and it's this realization, because you now have contrast. I now understand what the true feeling of gratitude and love really is, but it also shows you where you have the illusion of experiencing that somewhere else. And in reality, it's not that, it's something totally different. But you have to develop that empathy. And when people have wronged you, people have attacked you and things like that, you have to see them as another version of you. Because like the Mayans say in ancient texts, they call it Inlakek Alakin. It means I am another you. And so you have to begin to see yourself and other people and realize they're just a different frequency of you. They're still you, because there's only one. And to develop that empathy and realize that, unfortunately, the route and the path that they're on and that particular space and time is a teaching moment for them, but also a teaching moment for you as well. How do you develop a greater level of empathy for a person? And the person that is in that state of mind, can they begin to at least recognize what state of mind that they're in and what things that they have actually done, and begin to work on correcting themselves to become a better person? Yep. So it's this duality even in that, once we can develop that level of empathy for people and see them for who they are energetically, yes, you can still get frustrated. Yes, it's okay to get angry from time to time. But once we move through that and get back out of it and get back to who we really are, we have to then develop that empathy. And it's not that you're going to let that person right back in and let them continue to abuse you. It's that you can just even secretly, consciously just send a blessing to that person and just hope, look, I hope this person, I'm sending positive energy. I hope they can find their way. They can realize what they've done, correct their wrongs. And for me, I just want to extend gratitude for what I do have in the situations that I am in that are positive. And I also want to extend and expand love out into the universe, which can engulf even that person. And when we get into that mind state, the whole energy shifts. Everything changes. And I have to catch myself sometimes, because sometimes the old ego wants to creep back in, and I want to say something bad about a person. I want to be pissed off about a person, and I say, you know what? No, let me stop doing that. I had to reel myself in again, just recently on something. I said, you know what? No, let me shift. Again, it's always up to us. Like you said, we're doing the work, right? We have to catch ourselves. We have to realign our brain-heart coherence. We have to get back in alignment and get back on the right frequency, so that we can stay in that gratitude and love frequency, which, like you say, is the most powerful frequency that exists.
Yeah, totally. If you can start the day with gratitude, no matter what's going on in your life or in that particular day, that's the place to start, because that will reset the vibration. And when you do that, the signal, the energy that you're sending out will permeate, and it will change the reality around you. There's no doubt. And what you said is exactly right. We are all one. And to, when you're in everyday life, to realize that we're all connected, whether you want to say that's God, it's the universe, whether it's from a particular religion or spirituality, we are unified. We're all together. And I think, the more people that are exposed, that are getting exposed to these experiences, we're going to raise the consciousness of the world.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get to a tipping point now as laws are changing. And let's face it, we're in a psychedelic renaissance. These things are becoming more popular because it's time.
Yeah.
And these things are cyclical in nature. It's a shame that they've been put to bed for so long, and laws were enacted to really suppress these things. Yeah. But now, you're seeing the advent of psilocybin's been legalized in Oregon, and Colorado has passed it. They're coming on this year, and Oregon's done thousands of psilocybin mushroom journeys with raving success. So this is going to kind of make its way. This is why Sibannac is getting into this space now, because we see that this is clearly the path that the medicines are taking. And they're going to make their way through the country, just like I think cannabis did, like over the last 10 plus years, where we're seeing great success that with safe experiences that are really improving people's lives.
Absolutely. And with Sibannac, have you began to put in place any type of a teaching technique to get people to understand, don't abuse? Or maybe that's something that you guys have planned in the future, but like to use it as a modality, not as something that you actually abuse.
Yeah, I mean, when people ask that question, I'm glad you asked that. And as I said before, these experiences aren't recreational. This is not something you really want to abuse. No. Like ketamine, as you've referred to, that's kind of circulated, kind of like the party drug that's being used now. That could be abused. MDMA, which is really becoming very significant in helping people, law enforcement, military, people suffering from depression and PTSD. So those things can be abused. But like traditional medicines like ayahuasca, man, you're not abusing that. I mean, you're taking this, you're going in for it. And, people talk about, the purge where you're kind of like throwing up, but what you're really doing is detoxifying the body. But there's nothing recreational about that. So traditionally, you're not really abusing that. You're not abusing mushrooms. These things are completely not toxic. And so it really begs the question, like, why does the body respond so well to these magical elixirs? And I think it's because the gods of old and the universe has supplied these magic tools for us to be able to use to improve ourselves. So yes, I mean, so in these limited instances, I think there is some room for potential abuse, but really, I mean, I think the focus is on just the positivity that comes out of this. And so it's not really a concern that I've encountered.
So we see that this goes back thousands and thousands of years, really ancient stuff.
Yeah, and people don't realize that these things, and William just did a talk on this on Starwalker about the Last Supper and the bread and the wine, and talking about how these substances may very well been these magic elixir entheogens, these psychedelic substances, and people don't realize that they're really a significant part of the Judeo-Christian framework, like the religions that we come out of, and not to mention the earlier religions and Egypt. I want to tell you about one of these experiences. So I had a changa experience, which is a smoked ayahuasca version. And so obviously I don't have the expertise in Egypt that you have. So I didn't know this until after, when we were talking about what the journey was like. But I find myself in I'm seeing like this man with this, with this animal head, which is like the ibis.
Wow.
Right? And, which I've seen, people know what that is. I didn't really know what to ascribe to it. But the interesting thing was that you see this ancient being, right? Yeah. However, where I was basically in a modern day laboratory.
Oh, wow.
So I'm basically watching this, and I see this figure, and basically doing experiments, taking notes, working with potions and different elixirs, basically doing experiments.
Yeah.
And I was just taken aback by sort of the juxtaposition of this ancient being in a modern laboratory.
Yeah.
So after the journey, I was talking with William actually, and he said, "You just saw Thoth."
Yep.
And then I did some research, and he showed me a lot of pictures, and it absolutely confirmed for me that that was it. And so the interesting takeaway from that is these ancient beings are still with us. This energy just goes on.
Yeah.
And so I think what I was basically seeing was the Thoth that was existing now in the modern day, and whether that was symbolically or otherwise, it was just an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing going back to the beginning about how these Egyptian connections are just so prevalent in the experiences. I've also had psilocybin journeys where I was like flying over the pyramids.
Wow.
And basically had an understanding that this is like where it starts. And Egypt is a magical place. Obviously, you know, there's so much to be learned from just the pyramids and the tours that you do, just the magic and the construction and how were they built. People are so quick to dismiss that as, oh, they just had 1 million people moving stones and lifting stones, and, you know, forget about the sacred geometry that's involved and the alignment, you know, under the stars, and it's just, you know, remarkable. So these are experiences that I absolutely encourage everyone to go on. I'm looking forward to doing that myself. But, you know, it just raises these questions about where do we come from and where are we going? And so I think it's just, you know, we have more questions. I basically say I don't have answers to these things. But, you know, the truth is it's not really about proof or having answers. It's about, you know, asking more questions, but really more fundamentally is, have you taken things away from the experience that have improved your life? And if the answer to that is yes, which they always really are, and I can say that, you know, in so many examples, and so many people express the same thoughts, then that's really the only thing that matters. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. It doesn't matter to us psychonauts or people looking to explore consciousness. It's about, it's made me happier, and it's made my life and people around me happier, and that ultimately is the answer.
That's the key. And you're right about Egypt appearing to so many people through psychedelics, through psychic experiences, through regression experiences. Somehow, some way, Egypt is deep, deep in the psyche of so many people, which really, it's gone back so many years. It's really when it was called Kemet, before it was called Egypt. Egypt is just a name that we identify with now, given to it by the Greeks, but there's something about that region of this planet and that civilization that in some enigmatic way has blueprinted itself into everyone's DNA. I don't care what race, creed, color, I don't care where you're from on the planet, everyone can identify with ancient Egypt. So there's something energetically definitely there, whether it's electromagnetic through Earth's magnetic field, whether it's through reincarnation, whether it's through multidimensionality. There's something linking everyone to that place. It's incredible. Everyone has an experience or some feeling of connection to Egypt.
Yeah, and getting back to that, William recounted a story for me from one of his journeys where he encountered Osiris.
Wow.
And that was really the impetus for him to launch this Starwalker concept into now our Starwalker Cafe that's in Sibannac, and the Starwalker journeys that we hope to be engaging on together with you and developing. So yeah, it's really, it's unbelievable. It's just, there are places on the planet that hold very intense spiritual significance. And obviously, there is a relationship between these places, these experiences, and the alien phenomenon. Whatever that may be, you know, they are part of this consciousness somehow. I think they're teachers. I don't think there's anything to be fearful about at all. You know, obviously the unknown can be fearful for a lot of people, and I'm not really sure what that connection ultimately is. And I'm hoping that as society progresses in this process, we're going to learn a lot more about that. But Egypt is very interesting. And then in my own experience, and William had another one where he was given the information, the Meru Sky Tirthankara. And he said that when he heard that, he knew that was a reference to me.
Wow.
And this is an interesting story because, and you can elucidate on this because I'm not really that educated, but the Tirthankaras really come out of Hinduism or pre-Hinduism. They were like plant medicine masters, people who led people onto the sort of the path, if you will.
They're like ancient sages and wisdom keepers in Hindu culture. Yeah.
And so, not that I'm a sage, I'm a guru, I'm not claiming that at all, but I am someone who is interested in bringing people onto the path. I'm not the path at all, of course, but I've seen this, and I'm interested in people that are curious to look at it and consider it, and I think that is my mission in life. That's the mission of Sibannac, and this whole journey in consciousness exploration. So, so the Tirthankara they lived at a certain time on Mount Meru, in the Himalayas. And so the interesting part about that is if you take Meru Sky and just take out the U, you get Mirsky, which is my name.
That's your name.
And so, William said it was clearly a reference to me. And so henceforth, that was the name of my new social media channel, the Meru Sky, where I'm basically telling my story, right? I'm not a social media person. I've never posted anything, but I felt a calling to start to get in front of the camera and talk to people about my experiences, basically to let people know this is what you can expect from different psychedelics. These are kind of the nuts and bolts of what these experiences can be like. And then the second part of it is, what have I taken from them, the lessons I've learned, and basically, again, how have I integrated these things to basically try and tell people that if you're curious, if you're a seeker, maybe you can learn something here, and I'm just putting out my experience to put forth some of the knowledge I have gained and let people consider that.
Absolutely. And, you being an attorney, I mean, typically that's a person, for the most part, mainstream education, mainstream knowledge, mainstream wisdom. How in the world did you break through from that world into say, I want to delve a little bit into this world now? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it wasn't with a plan at all. The law, I was a litigator, did commercial litigation, did some trial work, I was in court, and I knew, early on that really wasn't my calling. I had an opportunity to get out of law, and I'm proud to be an attorney, and I use the law very often in kind of everyday work, and it has definitely prepared me in terms of logical examination, to be able to look at situations, analyze problems, and given me just, an overall a really good framework to look at business and life in general. But the practice of law really wasn't something for me. Really, the impetus for this was a major, I call it a trauma, that I got into. And this is frequently why people come to psychedelics. There's usually, and it doesn't have to be that way, certainly, but often, it is some kind of pain or trauma and I didn't know it at the time, but I had a couple of friends who were interested, and I had come out of a years-long battle, a really a tremendous, which I'll talk about at some point, maybe with you at a certain point later, but it really deserves its own, a lot of time. It's a really interesting story, but I was really devastated in every way, business, financially, I mean, every way you can really look at it. And it was right when that really ended, after 6+ years, that a friends had approached me and said, have you heard of this thing called ayahuasca? And I said, no. And when we got to look at it, that ultimately formed the basis for that experience. And this was the anger that I earlier referred to. That was really the purpose and the intention that I went into the experience with. And Mother Ayahuasca really gave me the gift of relieving me of that anger. And I'll go back and say, she gave me the ability to allow me to put down the anger and make that change. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. So I came to it, without any direct purpose or intention. And sometimes life puts things in front of you that, you don't expect.
Yeah.
And because I never did a psychedelic substance in my life. The first psychedelic I ever did was ayahuasca.
Wow.
So I don't really drink alcohol. So, I'm not someone who really consumed drugs or anything really before that. And I don't like to refer to these as drugs. They are compounds and they are considered drugs, under the law. Yeah. But they are magical elixirs and just unbelievable plant medicines. And so that's really what drove me to that. But after that experience, and it took years after that too, it was a gradual process. But in the last couple of years, it became ever increasingly clear that this was going to be my mission. And I wake up every day now with an unbelievable purpose and excitement to be able to pursue consciousness and to bring it to people. And this is the path that we're on, and I really look forward to doing this together with you.
This is incredible, man, because you're talking about, first of all, finding your passion. And I talk to people about this so often because a lot of people come to me and they tell me, I don't know how to find my passion. And I tell them, if you don't know how to find your passion, you don't recognize the gifts that you're already carrying, and you don't recognize things that you already kind of gravitate toward. So write down everything that you like or think you'd like to do on a piece of paper, and then draw a line on the middle on the other side. Put them in the order in which you think there would be priorities, and then figure out which ones you don't know how to do and which ones you do know how to do, and then become an expert at that. And then now you've isolated your passion, right? Once you've isolated your passion, now find a need for that passion in the world, which is what you've done. And when you find a need and provide that passion to other people who need it, money is a side effect in your bank account. You don't chase the money, you follow your passion, and money shows up in your account. And I think that's where people need to understand the importance of what you did, going to school, getting the education, becoming an attorney, going to court and being a litigator and everything else, and then realizing to yourself, this isn't exactly what I like to do for the rest of my life. I had the same epiphany. I was running this huge call center in the mid-2000s, 2 floors of a building and everything else, 5,000 square feet, all these people on the phones. And we were generating leads and sales for other companies and making good money. And I just realized this was not my passion. I was doing $4 part-time, in the shadows. And I said, I need to be doing this. This is all I want to do. And I walked into my partners one day and I said, guys, I'm going to give up my share of the company. I'm walking out. They said, when are you leaving? I said, today.
Wow.
And I walked out with nothing. I said, take my shares. I don't even want to split it. I'm not going to courts and everything and working out a split. Just take it. And I jumped out with no parachute. And I followed my passion. And it's so important for people to follow their passion, because every single day when you wake up, you don't feel like you're working anymore. You're so happy to do what you do. And you've been able to find a way to do it in a way through Sibannac, right? And now it's helping people. It's going to really help people, I believe, on a global scale. People who might not even be at the retreat or come to one of these initially, just even hearing about it, it drops a seed, and those seeds all begin to grow. So it's an incredible way that you've transformed yourself and been able to allow yourself, because you really have to allow yourself to follow that passion.
Yeah, it's a big leap, because you walked out of a business and you give up a lot, but when you understand that it's not your passion and you can leave it behind, it gives you an unbelievable freedom at the same time, because then you're not bound. Yeah. And it's hard to give up, and that's why lawyers in particular, some people are very unhappy from all kind of walks of life, because you get in a rut. And you have a job, but you can't really just stop, and you've got to continue to earn money, right? I mean, there are practical realities to these things. So it takes a lot of courage to be able to find what the passion is and make whatever changes are necessary. And I would have gone about things, differently, but that's, life. That's how we learn. We're here to learn. And a lot of these lessons, come with experience and sometimes, pain, and that's where growth comes from. But it's a wonderful thing. You reminded me. I did 9 years ago. I was talking to a life coach, and she had me do a new moon list. There was a new moon coming up, and this was I I think, it was definitely like around 9 years ago. And I wrote down that I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to be a commentator.
Wow.
And I was envisioning getting on podcasts. Never had I done that in my life or had any path to do that.
Yeah.
And I put that list away up in my closet somewhere, and I had thought about it from time to time, and a couple of years would go by and I would think about it, and a few more years would go by, and then one time, it was just last October, and I said, you know what, let me go find that list and let me look at it and let me see what has transpired on that list and what's come to pass. And for the first time in 9 years, I put my hands on it and my eyes on it, and I looked at it. And some of those things came to pass. A couple of things didn't. When I looked at, that I was a commentator, it really blew me away. And because I had just started my relationship with William, and now on this path and getting onto podcasts and start to tell my story. And here's the craziest part about it. When I looked at the date, the date that I pulled that paper out was 9 years to the day that I wrote it. And I stood there frozen for 5 minutes because I don't believe that these things are coincidental.
No.
And so I think that was, these are how the angels, however you want to refer to how the universe talks to you. They communicate in numbers and certain messages, and you have to be sensitive to that. And so, that really put me on this path to get in front of the camera. And of course, if I hadn't experienced all this pain and trauma, I wouldn't have had anything to talk about. So when I wrote this, I really didn't know, how this would really form up. So, you have to be grateful for the pain you've experienced. That's another lesson, because that's really given me a newfound opportunity, and I'm very grateful for that, and I wouldn't change a thing.
Same here, man. The pain and the darkness that we go through allow us to rise back towards the light and seek the light, right? We wouldn't have any contrast if there was only light and no darkness whatsoever. I think everything would be kind of mundane, right? I'm not advocating suffering of any type, obviously, but what I am saying is that there's a purpose and a reason for it. And the ancients knew about it. They talked about yin and yang, dark and light, right? The underworld, and all these different things in the biblical text. It's the same thing. It's in all religious texts, really. It's this light and dark. Even in the biblical text, in Isaiah 47, God says, I created the evil and I created the good. Do what I say at the Lord. He's saying this dark and light permeates the universe. And so we're dealing with this dark and light, and for us to understand that it's going to become a part of us. In the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the vision you had of the chemistry person doing experiments, it's ironic because he always does these chemistry experiments in the ancient text, which is crazy, right? He's always doing alchemy, which he did it in the land of Chem, and from ancient Kemet came alchemy and chemistry, and he was the teacher of both. And he always is depicted as being in like this laboratory setting, making these elixirs and things, which is your vision, which is wild.
It's amazing.
Right? But, just going back and just understanding that this wisdom and this understanding is just so ancient, man. And it's really just a blessing to understand the darkness and the light. And Thoth warned us in the Emerald Tablets about the dark brothers. He says that, know ye, O man, that the dark brothers are, they're going to come in, and basically what saying is they're going to interact with you. Don't be fooled by the darkness, but men will rise to the light and then fall back into the darkness, but then always again seeking back the light. He said, many of the worlds I've traveled on my journey, many of the races of men on their worlds, plumbing to the depths and rising to the heights, moving in times and realms of brightness. So it's this cycle, this ebb and flow of the universe, and we have to embrace it because it's real,
It reminds me of I just recently finished the Kabbalion.
Wow.
And again, going back to Egypt, the Hermetics, and so everything is as above, so below, and there is this majestic balance between things, and so you can't have the light without the darkness. And so, I've gone through very difficult personal experiences, but that again provides the platform to be able to shine this newfound light and wisdom and gratitude for everything that I've learned. So that is the real purpose of life. It is everything is a balance.
Absolutely. You have to have the balance, and you have to embrace it. and realize that when you're in your darkest time, that at some point it has to turn. That's what I always say. When something is so dark and I just can't understand, like, why am I in this? That's when I realize I have to shift. I have to shift my energy and my vibration. I have to realize that there's a lesson to be learned here, and what can I glean from this lesson? And the powerful thing, like you say about the psychedelics, I was able to go back and tap into some of the darkest times in my past, and I was able to, without any resistance, really address those things, because I guess it helps take down that whatever that is that holds you back from opening up those old chambers to do the work. And it really gave me the ability to go in there and address those things in a way that I probably would never have done.
Yeah, it's just amazing, the kind of just the tools. I say it's like a toolbox.
Yeah.
And so we in this human experience, we're frail, right? We have our problems, and so it's not about being perfect. We're never going to get there, and that's not really the point, right? Because the human condition is limited. It's just about improvement and just being committed to trying to make our lives better, regardless of how successful we ultimately are, right? If we can just focus on the effort, that's what I talk about, then that's all you can do, and the universe will take care of that. So it's that's really all you can do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's been a great conversation. I'm really excited for the opportunity with Sibannac, SNNC on the exchange, right?
Yep.
I'm really excited for it. I'm glad to be a shareholder of Sibannac.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah, man, and I'm looking forward to to the future, to being able to work with you guys on retreats and just bringing knowledge and wisdom to the people, enlightening people, and doing more podcasts, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'd love to get William on, and you guys can talk about things that are above my pay grade, of course, but I'm always interested to learn, and I hope to participate in some of those, and look forward to just keep the conversation going, and we'll keep updating people, on the company. I think we've got great things coming.
Nice, beautiful. And I love William's take on things. So I love to get his perspective on things, because his perspective always gives me a little bit more enlightenment and helps me connect new dots and make new connections.
Excellent.
Yeah, so looking forward to it. Thank you, man.
Okay, I appreciate you.
All right.
And
that's another great episode of the Forbidden Knowledge Podcast. Make sure you guys go and check out Sibannac when you get a chance. All right, SNNC. Peace. Watch this video for free at www.4bk.tv, or download the app on your smartphone, Fire Stick app, Samsung TV, Roku, and other app providers. Join a conscious community that is helping awaken humanity to the forbidden knowledge and a path to a brighter future.